going to go ahead. So now it's being recorded because this is going to be posted on the EdTech website that's been created for people to view again if you want to see it again, or to for people who didn't get a chance to catch it the first time. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get going. So so welcome. I didn't tell Kim, but I totally stole her Bitmoji off of her Facebook page and put it on here. I, again, am Jennifer Castro Barnes, and I work in curriculum and instruction, and I primarily support TK and pre-K programs, and maybe this year a little bit of kinder. So, so that's me, and our facilitator, like I said, is Kim Dominguez, and she teaches TK at Longfellow. And her background is an extensive early learning background. And if you don't know, she was my oldest daughter's pre-K teacher. So she has a long history in early childhood ed. And we are super lucky to have her with us. Yeah. So right now, when I did the ELA presentation, I saved the presentation until the very end, sharing that with you. But this time I'm going to go ahead and share the presentation right at the beginning. So if you are comfortable, you can click on the link and open a separate tab in on your screen, so you can have the presentation open as well as Zoom. If you are not comfortable doing that, you can just follow along in the Zoom with us, because Kim is still going to be dropping links to the linked things in the presentation for you to click on. So I want you to go ahead and do whichever is most comfortable for you. The presentation itself is going to be posted on the EdTech website, so as well as the recording of this Zoom meeting. So all of that will be available to you probably in the next 24 hours or so, actually. So if you were in the ELA session, then you probably saw this video, but this is a message from our Deputy Superintendent, Mark Lukey, and he just has a message that he kind of wants to share with everyone regarding this year and going forward.
Good morning and welcome to Summer Virtual Institute. I appreciate and thank all of you for joining us this week and willing to learn with us as we lean into a new year of learning with our students. This is not the instructional program that we had hoped to accomplish this year in terms of our students starting the year in a virtual format. But I believe that together we will build a strong instructional program to support the students of our district. So I want to speak a little bit about the importance of this week's learning with respect to our instructional program and emphasize a couple of key points for us before we start today. First and foremost, I'd like to emphasize the importance of understanding what the state is requiring of school districts this year, in that there are a set number of instructional minutes that we must adhere to. It is our goal that through the virtual nature of our instructional program over the first quarter, that we can rise above and beyond those minimum minutes, ensuring that our students receive ample in-person to the best of our ability instruction, meaning synchronous learning, where we are zooming in with our students online, supporting them, teaching them, equipping them with the skills to be successful in this virtual format. And then we are also balancing that with what we call asynchronous time, where we are assigning kids to complete assignments through many of our instructional tools and resources, while we as teachers and educators work in small groups with students who simply need more time with intervention. And so you are going to receive a lot of information from our instructional services support team. You are going to receive a lot of tools and resources to support you with the instructional design of our program for this year. Just know that we're in this together. Let's support each other. Let's be there for each other, and let's work together to make the very best and strongest instructional program for our students. So once again, thank you very much. I look forward to learning with you this week, and I look forward to a successful school year. Thank you.
So that was Mark. And, you know, one thing that he said, he talked about synchronous and asynchronous. And in our ELA session, we talked about that a lot, or talked about it to some length. And what I was actually wanting to ask you to do really quick is in the chat, if you could just put your first and last name, and if you did ELA with us for the TK session. So you can say, you know, Kim Dominguez, and then yes, just so we know that you did the ELA TK session, so we can kind of get a feel of how many people were able to be in there. So it's mostly yeses and just a couple no's. And that's really helpful to know. Okay. All right. So most of us were in the ELA session for TK with us, which was great. So one thing that I did want to echo Mark saying, and I think I said it last week, but it bears repeating, is also the need to find your circle, like find your circle of support, because the more you know, the more that I learn and think about this year and talk about this year with others, the more I realize that none of us are going to be able to do this alone, and we're going to definitely need to reach out and find our circle of TK. If you're a pre-K teacher, pre-K support, and rely on each other and support each other as we go forward, because we have a really steep learning curve, but I know that together we can be better. It can be better for us if we work together and kind of find our circle. So going forward with the agenda, this is kind of what we have laid out. We're gonna kind of talk about math behaviors and how that relates to our learning foundations. And then we're gonna look at some lesson design and look at a couple lesson examples. Then we're gonna have some more time to explore that website, and then talk about a little bit of scheduling ideas. And Kim and I were talking before we opened the session, and we think we're gonna have time at the end to kind of open up the floor to questions and maybe provide some one-on-one help with questions or that are kind of maybe tech related or related to kind of instruction ideas. So, we think we're going to have some time for that kind of at the end of our time together. So our virtual PD norms are to mute yourself during the presentation. Please put any questions or things that you're wondering about in the chat. And then I just ask for your patience. If you've been in any of these these sessions with me, you know that sometimes I get stuck on the technology. So I'm all about giving and getting grace. So I ask for your patience, and then all your positivity to be out there in the world for us. So at this time, before we go to the next slide, what I'd like you to do, if you don't have it nearby, go ahead and grab a notebook or a blank piece of paper, something to write with, because you're definitely going to need that as we move into our next activity, our next strategy. And just like with ELA, we tried to embed a few strategies that we thought might be helpful to the TK teacher as we were building out these presentations. And so now we're kind of, we're at one of those strategies. So A friend of mine was telling me about this idea, and I thought I'd pass it along to you. And so I just thought maybe we could have a little bit of fun with it. You're going to get a piece of paper or 6 Post-it notes. But if you have a large piece of paper, just kind of tear it up into 6 squares. Or if you have 6 Post-it notes, those would be perfect. So I'll give you a minute to do that. And when you've got those papers ready, go ahead in the chat and type in done. We'll do about 20 more seconds. Looks like mostly everyone's done. Okay. All right. Ready, says Corinne. Okay. So on these 6 squares, you could do this with your students. They could draw them. I also did create like a little resource here for you if you'd like to make these for your students and send them home. However, we're going to do that. But on each Post-it, I want you to go ahead and draw a quick emoji. So you're going to do a happy face emoji. Just like that. A sad emoji. Something like that. An angry emoji. Got my angry emoji. A worried emoji. Like that little guy. Meh emoji. You can see when I use marker, it's kind of easier to see on the screen, but you can use whatever you want. And then a surprised emoji. Just like that little dude. And then you're going to kind of line them up in front of you. I'm going to adjust my camera so you can just see. Like I'm just going to put them in a row right in front of me so I can see them. Okay. Okay. And now I'm going to say a statement or an idea, and then I want you to show me what you think about that by using your emoji and holding it up to the camera, okay? So we thought this might be a fun way to kind of communicate, like have interaction with your students. So we'll try it and tell me what you think in the chat when we're done. Cupcakes with sprinkles. That makes me very happy too. How about, and then I think like what would be great for participation. I'm going to try and keep an eye on what you do so I can get to know you too. Regis Philbin passing away. Yes, Lorna, that made me feel sad too. Liz is kind of like, eh. How do you feel about your students using manipulatives in the classroom in a normal year? Teddy feels happy. Kim's happy. Oh, everyone feels so happy about using materials like with manipulatives. All right. How about baking cookies? How many people love baking cookies? I have to say that makes me happy. How many people, what do you feel about eating cookies? Lorna, I noticed, was kind of meh. Cookies don't seem to be Lorna's thing. All right, how about if someone gave you $1 million? I would be shocked, and then I would be so happy. Yes, shocked and happy. I like how Corinne is just pointing to the emotions on her notepad. And then how do you feel about a day at the beach? Lots of happiness, lots of joy, lots of, yes, lots of happy. I see Susan feels happy. And then how about watching a horror movie? It stresses me out to watch a horror movie, but I can see Kim feels stressed too, like worried. Lori feels surprised and shocked, and Liz loves it. She's like, bring on the horror movies. Cheryl's feeling kind of about it. All right, how do you feel about using Google Classroom right now? I see worried. I see happy. I see kind of meh and worried. All right, I see lots of worry, and then I see some happiness. I was wondering if I might get any of this. And then how do you feel just about teaching TK normally? How do you feel about your TK assignment? Happiness, extreme happiness. And finally, how do you feel about distance learning with TK this year? Teddy's feeling angry. Lorna's feeling nervous. Cheryl's nervous. I see lots of nervous faces. Yes, worried. All right. Okay, so for lack of a better name, that's what I'm calling Emoji Blitz. I don't know. Feel free to call it whatever. But that was a strategy that a teacher shared with me that I thought was kind of fun. You could, I linked the, I made these. Someone could make them a lot cuter and better, I'm sure, but I just made them and threw them in here in case you want to use them, but they could be printed on cardstock, maybe punched with a ring, and maybe when whatever the procedure is going to be for kids to come pick up Chromebooks, maybe these could go home with them, and it could be a way that you do like a quick communication. You could use it for kind of an SEL check-in. You could use it to kind of do an icebreaker activity like we just did. Can kind of help you get to know, kind of see your kids. Kids love it when you call out like and kind of give them, acknowledge their feeling about something. And then another way that someone was saying that they could be used is, you know, how they're feeling, like if you do a read aloud, what they think of this character. So I thought that was kind of fun. So I just wanted to share it with you as an idea that you could take. If you could just click, let me know in the chat, what did you think about that? Like, do you think you would use it? Or did you think of any other ways you might use it that I didn't mention? Or has anyone seen something similar that someone's done with emojis that you kind of wanted to share? So people are saying they'll use it. I think in the SEL lessons, oh yeah, love it for PLC or even with peers. That's a great idea, Teddy, like even with other adults. It's interactive. Pre-K sped, yes. Yeah, I could use a few with them, maybe limit it even more, like for emotions. Yes, you could even, like, as you're doing a read aloud, you could hold up an emotion that matches the emotion of the character when you're doing read aloud. Oh, yes, Corinne had the idea of putting multiple emojis, and then you could put a clothespin, and then you get a little bit of that pincher action too for kids, and learn how to mark it with a clothespin. I love that idea. Cheryl said she'd use it with SEL activities. Whiteboards would be great for that. That's true. Like what they could do, write, draw a quick emoji to match. Yes, they can use it as an assignment to create their emoji and then use it on Zoom. I saw one of the teachers, and I think it's in the SEL section of the website that was created. They did one where it's kind of like a daily check-in and kids can drag and drop their emoji next to their name. And I thought that was kind of a cool thing to do. So, all right. Okay, thank you. So when you make a copy of this presentation, that resource is there for you. And then someone can probably figure out a million ways to make it cuter. All right. So that brings us to housekeeping, just in case you, we'll go over these just in case you have not heard. But I wanted to have that digital parking lot. I think this is actually the same document. I just made it a running document for TK. And so if you have something, a question or something like a logistics question about opening, because I definitely do not know all the answers, go ahead and, go ahead and open up. You can open up this link right here. And you can kind of keep this open off to the side. And as you think of questions that pertain to TK that I don't know the answer to, or even if you have some pre-K questions, if you're a pre-K teacher, just find yourself a spot here and just put your question, because we are collecting those and putting them together. And I understand that it's going to go into like a frequently asked question document, like for teachers. So make sure that you have that kind of open. I think Kim has it in the chat for you. We are recording this session because it is the only session that we're offering for TK Math Purposeful Play. So this session is going to be recorded and it'll be posted on the EdTech website, along with the presentation for you to view and make a copy of. And then participants are let in during the first 20 minutes. New participants are not let in after 20 minutes. That's a little bit too late to join. But if you get kicked off, Kim is monitoring and she will let you back in and confirm that you were attending in the beginning. We're going to have an evaluation form like in your other sessions, and then we're going to have that sign out form link for payroll at the end of our time together. So we talked about our core priorities on our last. It's our challenge to maintain these as our priority and take our platform virtually. So we're going to be working on maintaining this type of quality and priorities for our school communities as we work through all the challenges this year. And our learning intention for today is really about understanding the lesson design, the components, and the purpose for purposeful play through mathematics and other opportunities. And we're going to feel more successful when we can create instruction that's going to give our kids the opportunity to have to engage in critical thinking, math learning, and problem solving, whether or not we're in the classroom or they're at home. So we're trying to figure out ways to best do that. So let me see. Oh, wait. I want to try, let's try something. In your, let's see, Kim, I might need your help with this. For them to raise their hand, like, how do they try that?
Okay, so if you look, and it really depends on what you're using too. If you're using your phone or if you're using like an iPad and stuff, sometimes your tools on the bottom of your Zoom won't show up. But if you kind of go down to the bottom, some tools should be down there, like security or, you know, mute and stop and video. Near there, it should say reactions, and it has like a little happy face emoji. And so
if it doesn't say reactions, is it under more?
It could be under more too.
Okay.
Yeah. And you click it, and there's like a little hand, a thumbs up, like a clapping hand and a thumbs up.
So if you can find that, go ahead and raise your hand and let me know if you're new to TK this year. Okay. We had quite a few retirements in our grade level, so we are anticipating on having quite a few new friends join us, which we're excited about. So I just wanted to kind of see, so I see several people that are new to the grade level this year. So wonderful. Okay, so I just included, I wanted to, so for those of you who've been teaching TK, just hang in there with me, but I wanted to just kind of drop this in to just lay the foundation for TK. TK is the newest grade level in California. It is really kind of a bridge between pre-K and readiness for kinder. It is not kinder, it's not kindergarten light, it really is its own animal. And in our K-12 system, you know, we're used to looking at Common Core standards, but TK doesn't actually have its own set of Common Core standards. So what we do is we use the preschool learning foundations and framework, and those kind of basically constitute what our standards are. And so we call they're the learning foundations. And those are basically created based on these 8 overarching principles that in early childhood education, relationships are central, relationships with family, relationships with children, and play is a primary context for learning. We, in early childhood, we say play is the work of the child. So the way providing them opportunities to play is a valid and needed context for their learning. Learning is integrated. When we usually like plan for our kindergarten day, we will plan by saying, here's our ELA block, here's our math block, here's this time, here's that time. But really we want to integrate learning throughout the day in TK. That's kind of our goal. And then our intentional teaching and our paying attention to what drives the interests of children enhances children's learning experiences. And that's kind of our goal, which is going to be a challenge for us virtually. And family and community partnerships are just as important as our connections with our students. Individualizing and kind of differentiating learning is inclusive of all children. Children with speech, children with mobility issues, all children. We want to think about how we can individualize and accommodate all children in our TK classrooms to help them become ready for kinder. And then we teach from a place of cultural responsiveness and and language support to be as much of a bridge to learning for the child as we can. And then, of course, having time to reflect on our students and be responsive to their needs enhances our planning and enhances their learning and enhances our teaching. So those are kind of the 8 overarching principles that go into creating the foundations for what we do in TK. Kim, is there anything in the chat? I saw the chat kind of going. So is there anything I need to address in the chat?
I was just welcoming Janie Flores. She's from the migrant program, supporting our pre-K teachers, which I'm really glad she's here. And also Roberta from RJCC Preschool Referrals for Special Education. So I welcome them here. And then Cheryl added to that, if you're on a Chromebook, if you go to participants and click the tab participants, you'll find where you can raise your hand if you are on the Chromebook.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Thank you, guys. So moving into kind of that bridging between the resources that we use and the resources that kind of that are in our K-12 system that we're a part of. Right here on this slide, you can see a screenshot of the mathematical reasoning in our foundations and framework. And on the left side, you'll see that there's a description of children and what they do in relationship to mathematical reasoning when they're around 48 months of age. And on the right-hand side, there's a description of what children do in their behaviors related to mathematical reasoning at around 60 months of age. Now, you can see that there's really one main thing, and that is, whoops, sorry guys. Hang on a second. All my Zoom stuff is blocking my screen. And that is we want to encourage students to be able to identify and apply a variety of mathematical strategies to solve problems in their environment. That is a really general statement, but what I want you to do right now is to just have a little bit of time to review just looking at this one page, and then this document, let's see. Let me think about that for a minute. This document is linked. I didn't give Kim the link, but I can pull it up and drop the link in. But what I want you to do is to think about the description here and think about how it relates to these mathematical practices that are in our Common Core. And just, I'm going to give you about 3 minutes to just kind of have this document up and just think about what we're doing and how this lays the foundation for these mathematical practices as they move on to other grades. So let me just click here. And let me copy this link. That is slowly loading.
I put it in there already.
Thanks, friend.
You're welcome.
So I'm going to set my phone timer for about 3 minutes. Go ahead and open up this document after reviewing the mathematical reasoning document from the from Preschool Learning Foundations, and think about how this supports their readiness for these math behaviors. So go ahead and give you about 3 minutes. All right. So that's my timer. So I know that was kind of quick, but if we could have a couple people share in the chat, what did you notice about the connection or the way that this preschool learning foundation may prepare our kids for mathematical practices in kinder and beyond? So Karen said patterns, mathematical practice 8. Kim said it prepares them for using those tools. They use play that gets to the problem solving for those different mathematical practices and behaviors. Yes. Mathematical practice 2, quantities and relationships, one-to-one correspondence. They develop perseverance to solve problems. They're involved in real-world problem solving. Yes. All right. So, yes, this foundation in mathematical reasoning has strong connections to so many. Laura called out mathematical practice 1, 2, 4, 7, and 8. It shows there's a pattern to behaviors which is accentuated by working with others and using concrete objects. Absolutely, and that is our challenge in a virtual learning situation. And then Deirdre said that it connects by supporting the asking of questions and having kids wonder. All right, you guys, thank you for thinking about those connections. So moving into, we talked about this, we looked at this document in ELA, so I'm just gonna very briefly go through it. This is a document that is different, written differently from the way the kinder document was written because of that integrated learning in TK and the emphasis on like social emotional learning, language development, and physical development in TK. This document, there's one document, each section of 3 weeks period of instruction is basically 1 page. And if you remember in ELA, this is really about getting the essential learning down in transitional kinder, like what are we doing in this 3-week period of time? What are we doing in the next 3-week period of time? So it kind of serves as a little bit of a roadmap for you. So it's also different from kinder in that literacy and math are combined. So in scope of skills on the right, you're going to see literacy foundations called out and math foundations called out. So when our teacher teams were working on developing math resource lessons for us to use during the year, this was kind of our guidepost for what the content would be in the first few weeks of instruction. So you'll notice with math, there's 3 basic items here. It's sorting and classifying objects or putting things into groups, recognizing and duplicating simple repeating patterns, and comparing objects by attribute, either length, weight, or capacity. So it's three basic skills in math, and that's kind of what the lessons were written around that we're going to look at in a little bit. So lesson plans, we've looked at lesson plans in ELA. The lesson plans that are written, that were created for TK, follow the same kind of structure. So it's this template, looks just like this. When we go into the site and we're looking at some of these lessons, you might see that some weeks there's one plan and there's all the lessons in the sequence for that plan on one sheet. And sometimes you'll see it might look like this. week 1, day 1. So this is 1 day's worth. So there's always going to be that date and that time. The type of lesson is math. This is a series. This is one in a series of 5 lessons in math. And the technology integration are any links or things that you would need to use this lesson. So here there's 2. There's a link to a Jack Hartman song called Alligator Chomp. And then this is all about sorting. And Corinne actually created a video clip that is the instruction part. And it's about, and she's talking through a sorting activity. So the standards are here from that essential standards document. The intention, learning intention was written here. And for this lesson, it said they'll recognize and duplicate repeating patterns. And then they're also sort and classify serial into 2 groups by a given attribute. Now, success criteria here is created. Material that's needed are 2 different kinds of breakfast cereal at home for the child. And then here is a suggestion of questions you could ask, and then a suggestion of tasks that you could do. Now, all of these, just like with the ELA, this is all changeable for you. It is you have freedom to create copies of these, just like with the ELA, and change them in any way you want. Take pieces of this, add them to pieces of things you already have, and kind of create something new. Again, I think we talked during ELA, these resources were really meant to kind of inspire you and give you something to kind of think about as you're planning your own virtual lesson plans. Okay, so during ELA, before we go into looking at the lesson, I'm actually going to move a slide really quick. I'm going to move it down. Now, looking, I picked a couple lessons that came from the math resources on our EdTech website. And they're both, I think they're both from week 1. One could be from week 2. And they are on the EdTech website. None of these are on the TK tab on the curriculum site because they were built for anybody in our district. So I'm going to just show you an example of this resource that you can find on the EdTech website. And as we're watching, I want you to think about some ways that these lessons support mathematical reasoning. Okay, so I'm going to click on serial sort.
Hi, everybody. Today we are going to do something called sorting.
Okay, before, I'm just going to show you like brief clips. This is a 5-minute clip, which is great in its time. And what I wanted to say, I think we talked about this in ELA, everybody's skill level, like with creating content, is different. There's some people that created things that I don't know how to do that I'd like to learn how to do. And then some people created things that are like I created some things that are very low tech where I was literally like holding my phone in my mouth and moving magnetic letters around. So what I also love about all the resources that were created is how we can do it lots of different ways. So I'm going to share with you a few minutes of this resource. And then as you're listening to it, I want you to think about what are some ways that this kind of helps mathematical reasoning for our students.
What does it mean to sort? Well, it means that we look at this cereal and we try to make groups of things that are similar. Similar means the same. If I look at this piece of cereal, it's kind of golden yellow. It's round. And I look at this piece of cereal. It's round, but it's a different color. It's much bigger. And if you turn it on its side, it's sort of flat, like a cookie. These two pieces are not the same. They're different. And so I'm going to put them in their own group. I have the small yellow round ones, and I have the big brown flat ones. So then I'm going to sort the rest of these cereal pieces. I think this one goes over here. And I think this one also belongs to that group. But now I have a question. This one is golden yellow. It's sort of round, but look, it's much smaller. Do you think it still belongs in this group? I agree. Yes, it does, because my other choice is this one. And it's very different, isn't it? So I'll put that over here with its family. What about this one? Yeah. Big and brown, big and brown. Oh, round and gold.
I'm going to pause it right there. She goes on in this lesson to mix them up and then do it again, but I want you to notice how she paused and asked kind of an open question and then did the whole wonder window thing where she kind of said, what do you think, boys and girls? And then paused. So those are great strategies to build into a virtual lesson. So you're going to see a series of those sorting lessons as a resource that you could use. Now, you can use what was created there in so many different ways. You can post that video to a Google Classroom. You could link that video into a simple slide deck and use it in a lesson. You could assign it to a student and then give them an assignment where they take a picture of something that they've sorted into two groups. So there's so many different things and different ways that you can use what's been created and made available on the website. I'm going to show you another lesson that was created and that is available on the website in the math section, and that is this one about shapes, focusing on a rectangle. So this lesson, this resource was made as a simple slide deck. And the teacher has, there's so many different ways that you can use this resource as well. If we go back to school and we physically have kids in class with us, you could use this resource up on your smart board and use it during a morning meeting time or a lesson about math and reviewing shape for rectangle. You can create this as an asynchronous assignment that they go through, or you could use it in a Google Meet or a Zoom and teach from Zoom using this presentation with your little picture of yourself in the Zoom, teaching from it synchronously. So it was built so that there were lots of different ways that you could use it. So this, if you go through this presentation, you can see that this teacher linked this icon.
Writing's not that easy, but Grammarly can help.
Grammarly thing.
This sentence is grammatically correct.
I wish we could scrub it of those. So there's a rectangle song.
A rectangle is a shape with four straight sides. It has four right angles and the opposite sides must.
That will wormhole into your brain. I'm just telling you right now, I love that song. So you could see where if you were teaching this synchronously, like what I'm doing right now with you, this would be a great resource where kids can get up and sing along. You can be active, and you can do that like on a Zoom or in a Google Meet, which would be great. Or you could do it in your classroom with them physically present with you. The next slide, you'll see this little, whatchamacallit, speaker. This teacher figured out a way to record their voice, a sound file, kind of like we saw in some of the ELA lessons. And then, so for children who maybe don't have support at home, they can click this.
Today, we've been learning about the shape rectangle. Take a look around your house, see if you can find things that are shaped like a rectangle. Maybe your television or your kitchen table, a mirror. Oh, what about your doors in your house? I bet they are the shape of a rectangle.
So if you decide to use this synchronously, you don't have to play that. You can just kind of get inspired by that language that the teacher used to build that, and you could do the teaching from that slide. Next, again, there's a language here.
Foods that you eat can also be shaped like rectangles, like a beautiful birthday cake or a rectangle-shaped pizza. What are some other foods that you can think of that are shaped like rectangles?
So if a child was doing this on their own, they could talk to hopefully the adult that's helping them, or you could do this synchronously and people could take turns sharing what other ideas they have for foods that are shaped like a rectangle. So, and then it goes on.
Some things that are shaped like rectangles are things that you cannot eat, like a box, a block, a present. And what about a bar of soap? That wouldn't taste very good.
So you can kind of see that, again, like the resources were made in many different ways. And what I love about it is there are so many different ways to use them. And there's also so many different things that can inspire you to kind of follow the same pattern and innovate your own off of what the resources are here. So at the end, this final slide has even a suggestion, or you could upload it as an assignment in your Google Classroom. Use a Flipgrid to make your video to tell about what you found. So you're giving your TK student the opportunity to talk and describe and communicate, which is half of our job in TK. All right. So now what I want to do, first of all, was there anything in the chat that I need to do, Kim?
We were discussing how great Karen and Corinne were with their math lessons. And I feel so inspired right now. I don't know about you guys. I'm like, I want to get off of here and start making things.
Mm-hmm.
But someone just asked about where will we find these slides, and is there a link? And I believe we're getting into that.
Yes, we're getting into it right now. Before I let you go and kind of show you where these are, I wanted to drop this in here. I kind of did it flipped around in the ELA, and I thought, that maybe it would be better for them to have this now. So in just a minute, I'm going to have Kim drop the link to the website in the chat, and then I'm going to give you some time to look through, just look at like the math lessons right now. And if you want to kind of like, while you're looking through it, you might as well maybe jot some ideas down. So I created this kind of jinky schedule. similar to the one that I gave you in ELA, but like if you want to just kind of like write down, oh, sorting, you know, sorting cereal, sorting blah, 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 like maybe make a copy of this. And then, in fact, I think it actually forces you to make a copy. Did I give you the link to this, Kim?
Yeah, I put it in there.
Okay. So if you want to, while you're looking at the website, you can have this maybe open off to the side, or if you have access to a printer at your house right now, print it and start making some notes for what you want to make sure that you come back to and think about planning for your first week of school or first few weeks of school. So I know I probably didn't give you the link right now, Kim, but let's put the link for the website right now. And let's maybe have about 5 minutes to peruse. I'm going to show them really quick. So Kim is going to drop the link to the EdTech website. I'm going to show you on my screen how to get to where you want to go. Okay. So here's the EdTech website. To find the math lessons that were created for resources for you, you want to go to the purple button, grade level lessons. And then you want to go to TK. And I will say, as we get later in the year in TK, check out kindergarten and see what they've done too. They've got some great stuff in there. As our TKers get older, you might want to kind of look into what the beginning of kindergarten was, and there might be some things for you to use. So here's our TK homepage, and you're going to click on week 1. There's our 4 weeks. And once that loads and opens, there's a couple different ways you can do it. We created linked calendars or linked schedules, so you can go in and do it this way. Like in this math right here, you can go all the way across, and here's all the lessons and video resources that were created for math for week 1. Or you can scroll down and you can see that it's right here. And there's day 2. And if you scroll all the way down, you'll be able to see the math lesson plans. So you could even start here if you want. To move on to the next week, you just scroll back up to our TK and you want to go to week 2. So I'm going to give you, let me see what time it is. Kim, what do you think, like 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 minutes?
Maybe 5.
5 minutes?
Around a little.
Okay, we'll do about 5 minutes and just take some time looking at the math lessons. And if you would like to kind of jot down some ideas that you want to make sure that you want to come back to, you're welcome to stand up and stretch and take a little drink or bathroom break if you'd like. And then we'll come back in 5 minutes. I'll set my timer now. All right, enjoy exploring. So I've been busy answering some private messages in the chat, but there was one question that said they only saw Corinne's lessons and nothing else. You want to go up to week 2 and week 3 and week 4 and move across all those weeks, because there's additional math lessons, I think, in those schedules. So so let me see. Like, let's skip over to week 3. So like this one, I think shape, this might even be the rectangle one, I can't remember. Yes. So it's kind of just moving in that math section and kind of looking at the weeks and seeing what's there. Or you can scroll all the way down for each week and look at the lesson plans too. Oops. Okay, so that was 5 minutes. That felt like it went really quick to me. I know there are a couple other private messages I didn't quite get to, but I will. What did I just do? Anyway, I do want to show you for the DFP before we move on to the next section. You can also get to the DFP website or the EdTech website if you go to Department Directory and go to Curriculum. And you know how we go here to get to our TK website? Well, they've added this button, Distance Learning Materials, to the top of the Curriculum and Instruction website. And if you click this, yes, it takes you to the EdTech Center. So in case you, in case you can't remember this DFP, the go.bcsd.com/DFP, you can access it through that top link that's on the Curriculum and Instruction webpage now. And that is, I think that is new. Okay, so hopefully you had just a minute to kind of jot down some things that you wanted to revisit, and I'll be going back into the chat to finish answering private messages. So if you're new to TK, last summer and the summer before, I think, we spent some time talking about, the intention of TK. And last summer, our training was really centered around purposeful play. And so this is a slide that was actually from last summer. And we know that young children are, they learn best when they're active, when their social and emotional needs are met, when learning is presented in a meaningful way to them that kind of connects to their world. And we also want to be mindful that the process of learning is just as important as the outcome of learning. So all that messiness and all of that play, that process of learning is just as important. And then we also want to be mindful of just our students' backgrounds that influences their learning. Our children come to us with different levels of readiness related to lots of different things. So these are some of the big points that we talked about last summer. And the trick is how do you make that happen when we're out of control of so many of these things, like we don't know who they're surrounded by. We know when they're in our classroom, we have control and influence over that. We have control and influence over how active or how inactive our classroom environments are. We don't have control over that now. So we're going to be thinking about ways to kind of make that as doable as possible for our kids at home. And I found this this great slide this graphic that is all about, like, it says kindergarten, but I think about it in terms of TK, and how like really the intention of our TK classrooms are just right here, kind of in the middle here. We want them exploring the world through play with the active presence of teachers or other adults. And we want teachers guiding learning with rich experiential activities. And the trick is we are not with them. So to kind of help support that, some of the resources that were built into the website for your lesson resources are around purposeful play or exploration. So as you're kind of thinking about building lessons, don't forget about building in opportunities for things like this for them to do at home. And before we look at these examples, was there anything in the chat that I need to talk about, Kim?
Yes. One question was they're really happy about these lessons, but they want to know if we're going to continue doing them past week 4.
Oh, that's a good question. So these lessons were created on the blood, sweat, and tears of people taking time out of their summers to create resources. And we are so happy that, you know, when you do something, it feels good when it's serving a purpose for people, and we're super excited that it's serving a purpose for people and is helpful. I don't know in terms of any kind of plan for additional lessons to be added, but here's what I have kind of heard mentioned. These are really meant for you to give you a starting point to see some different ways things can be done and to inspire you to create your own. They're also, you know, you can take pieces and parts, or you can use some of these presentations as templates to create and put your own content in. So it's kind of like, they're really meant just as examples to kind of give us an idea or a picture, because, you know, before June, I don't know, seeing the examples help me picture and understand a little bit better of like how this could look. Before June, before seeing people's examples and lessons, I had a hard time picturing it. So I don't know that there are plans to continue beyond. I know that one thing that I heard is that a couple teachers had asked, I think in a kindergarten session that I did, Christine Chapman, my boss, was in that session, and they asked her kind of the same question. But one thing that was stated is that teachers wanted to know if they could add to the resources. So, you know, that might be a possibility, like for if people create additional resources, that we could just continue to add it and kind of, you know, use it as a hub to kind of share and collaborate, which would be amazing. So as you are inspired and learn and, you know, get new skills in tech and planning this way, that would be amazing if we could kind of create like a hub of things that kind of continue to grow. I know that the TK work team that worked this summer, we kind of talked about how can we do that? How can we create a hub where we can rely and kind of lean on each other for support? And this could be one way. So that's a long answer to say maybe.
And then kind of to piggyback off that, there was somebody else that was asking if they're able to use these lessons or if they're just examples like copywritten and we must not use.
That's a great question. If you have been able to go to the a tech training, in that tech training, they showed you, these are lessons. The way they set them up on the website is if you want to use them, so many things. So first of all, you don't have to use them at all. Like they're just like, you know, there's no like, you have to use these. And if you see a lesson that's on week 1 and you're like, no, I want to use that in week 3, go for it. There is that level of freedom for you. They're really resources. Oh my gosh, I talked so long that I forgot what the original question was. What was the original question?
If we're able to use them, or are these
Yes.
just examples that are copywritten?
So they're not copywritten. They were created with the understanding that you can copy them. So when you do go in and you see something that you want, when you click it, it's going to force you to make a copy. It'll do it for you automatically, and then that lesson will then be in your drive. Once that lesson is in your drive, you can adjust it any way you want. You can keep it the same. I would encourage you to look at them and think about how you can kind of innovate off of it and make it your own. We learn best by doing, so I would just try kind of messing around with some things to try and see how you can kind of create them for yourself, using these as inspiration. Was there anything else, Kim?
Karen said that there is a spot in the DFP site that we can share resources and lessons in.
Oh, okay, cool. I haven't even seen that yet. They have literally been doing things on that website since last week, since we were together last week. So that's really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and just show you. So thinking about like the intent of TK is to get children to build readiness. And part of that readiness is learning through play. And so on the website, there are also some lessons that have been created to kind of promote that idea of playful learning. This is a lesson that was created about, this is a great lesson to do with your kids at the beginning of the year for self-portrait. We know that in core growth, self-portrait is one of those things that we kind of look at to get some to observe development. So this teacher put, again, like voice.
Good morning, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Howard. Today, I would like you to draw a picture of yourself. It's called a self-portrait. You will need some crayons and a piece of paper.
So I want you to imagine with me, you see this lesson on the website and you think, yes, I want to have kids draw a self-portrait. You can choose to use this voice file, or you can choose just to put this up in your Zoom and talk kids through it, like I'm doing with you now with the PD. So there's lots of different ways and different flexibility that you have and how you use, again, this resource. And then it goes on, and there's a 42-second recording of how they talk through this. Here's some language here that you could use to talk to kids about how they think about drawing themselves and planning their self-portrait. And then Karen did this one, you probably could tell by her voice, but she even put a slide in if parents need support at home for grip. I thought this was great to include at the end, like even a little support for parents as they help their child at home. So that's one example that you'll find on the website for kind of like a playful lesson. And then here's another example. And this one is called Let's Experiment. Full disclosure, I made this one, and down here at the bottom, like in these little notes, I just linked like, this is what this supports. So in case anyone is curious or wonders how it connects, these are kind of the essential foundations that it supports. So I recorded my voice.
Boys and girls, have you ever wondered why it's so important to wash your hands? Let's watch an experiment to find out why. On the next slide, there's a video I want you to watch closely and see what happens. It's a great example of why we need to wash our hands.
If you listen closely enough on any of the lessons that I did, you might hear my 10-year-old screaming in the background, but you know, I kept it because like that's real life. So then here there's another voice recording.
Watch this video about how soap helps keep away germs. And as you watch, I want you to be thinking about what you notice and then think about what it makes you wonder about.
And then they could watch this video that is linked.
Ever imagined how dirty is your washing machine?
Ads on
Disease
it,
experts
so
claim
annoying.
that in half a year of usage, the house.
Do you see that? You guys saw that? You see how important it is to wash our hands? Okay, Isa, dip your finger inside the virus water. Okay. Did the virus move at all? Did any of the pepper flakes move? No. No, right? Okay. Now, Isa, take out your finger. Do you see any virus on your finger? Any pepper on your finger? Yes. Yes. Okay. Now, we don't want the virus on our finger, right, you guys? So, Isa, can I ask you to dip your finger in soap, clean your finger? Okay. This is the importance of how we wash our hands. Now, Isa, does your finger have soap in it? Yes. Okay, now can you dip your finger back in the virus? How did it move? Do you see that? Yeah, it moved. You guys saw that? Yeah. You see how important it is to wash our hands?
So that's an example of how you could use like a little pre-made clip. Now I could have filmed that experiment myself and used my teacher voice in it, but I found this clip and I thought that fit great. And then finally, I have a little thing just saying, what do you think this teaches us about soap and germs? Tell someone what you think. I put here, like, remember how we talked about the voice typing thing? I put like a link to, this could be an assignment that you put in where I just like linked a picture and then they can do tools and voice typing to talk about what they thought. And that could be the assignment or the evidence of their learning. So it's not just, it's like, so these lessons are created where there's a focus, there's something that, you know, they could do or watch or think about or talk about. But then the final slide, and of course, all of this is conditional on them having support at home, which is another challenge that we have with young learners. But then I created a slide that said, if you have these materials, you could even do this at home, like have fun experimenting. So we tried to build some lessons that forced kids to go off the computer and experiment and play in the real world. So now, were there any questions, Kim, in the chat that I should go through?
We have a lot of discussion going on about using the smart board I guess in their Zooms to model how to use tools and different things on there. Mm-hmm. And asking about, you know, can you use, you know, let's see, Tim says he has like a bunch of different activities that he does on his smart board. If he can do this on Zoom too, which that's totally possible, but the kids don't have the interaction on it. You would just be kind of like pulling it up and then showing them by, you know, you clicking on the different things.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I think like I think that like I don't know what I don't know right now. And as far as technology goes, and I know in the ELA session we talked about, now it's a matter of just like learning what we can do and how to do it so that we can do these things or implement these cool ideas. And I am going to be learning right along with you. And Susan said, Zoom, question mark, tricky with little ones. Yes, I think, you know, I've been talking to teachers that use Zoom with littles, and I think that the trick is to think about it in the way that we train them for expectations in the classroom and keep it brief and active as we can, like as engaged as we can. Because I agree. I will just say, my friend lives in Laguna Beach and her preschooler would be on hour-long Zoom meetings. And I was like, oh, no, 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 no. Like, it doesn't work. So yeah, we don't want to do hour-long Zoom meetings with our littles. All right, so okay, you guys, I might need a lot of grace right here because I'm going to try to do something online that I haven't done before, and that is to do a Flipgrid over Zoom. So looking at these lessons that you've had some time to do, I want to see if I did this right. And I would love to get your feedback. So another strategy that we wanted to include is Flipgrid. Flipgrid, I think, has so much potential and is golden when it comes to the young learner, because once we train them how to use it, I think there's so many different ways that you can use it, and it really gets at kind of the intention of TK. So what I'm going to do right now is ask Kim to drop the Flipgrid link in the chat. And if I did it right, you should be able to record yourself. So we'll see if I did it right. So I'd love some feedback. So once Kim puts that in the chat, click it and see if it works. And I think I have to put my video off and my sound, right, Kim? For Flipgrid.
Yeah, sorry, I'm in the Flipgrid.
Oh, that's okay. Okay. So let's see. So here you should have what are some ways you can engage students during these lessons that you had a chance to look at? Tap the green plus sign below, which I hope is there. Oh, good, it is. To open the Flipgrid camera and then record a short video and talk about your ideas that you have to engage students virtually. So to use Flipgrid, I think you'll need to turn your camera off on Zoom, and you will probably need to mute yourself so that you can record your own. So let's give it a try. So I think I'm doing this right. Let's see. So Kim did it. What other brave souls tried it? Oh, Sindra, if you, yeah, you probably will want to open a tab behind the Zoom because I am still screen sharing. Maybe to, let's see. Maybe if I stop sharing, I see people popping up now. I see Kim and Rhonda and Kim Perez and Liz. So if you haven't done Flipgrid, okay, number one, I'm impressed with myself that I got it working as much as it is. There's Karen. So I know there are certain tricks for using Flipgrid, and that's okay, Tim, if your computer won't allow you to open it. There are certain tricks to using Flipgrid during a live Zoom. And so that's kind of because I've never done it before. I just wanted to see if I could do it. So I will definitely have to practice this because it looks like people had some trouble with it. But this is something that you could use during a live Zoom, or though I think the even better way to use it is to put it as a link in your Google Classroom when they have assignments to do, like asynchronous learning assignments. Like, let's say that experiment that they did that I just showed you, you could put that on as a Flipgrid and have that kind of link to that presentation. And then they can talk about what they did, or if they tried it, or what they noticed, or what they think that means for germs and washing hands. So that's, Flipgrid is just, it could be a really great tool. I would encourage you to practice using it. There is a Flipgrid tutorial on our website that I think a teacher made on how to create your Flipgrid account and then getting it in there for you to use with your kids, because that could be a really powerful tool for our littles. Was there anything in the chat, Kim? Like, I know there were a lot, I did see in the chat there were some problems getting in it.
Yeah, it's just, you know, it takes some practice, and I liked using it. I used it with the kids after March, you know, March, April, May. with some of my kinder kids. And it was just, I gave it to them as an assignment. So they had it in there, I linked it into the Google Classroom. It was their assignment, and it was a way that they could share ideas and things with me without having to write it down, which was nice. And they loved videotaping themselves. They thought it was just kind of like, like a TikTok or something like that. And you could totally make it like that too. You could be like, show me your favorite dance moves and go. And then they're just doing, whatever dance moves it is. And it's so awesome. And all the kids can see it and share on there and be like, oh, and we tell them, okay, positive notes. Tell everyone how you felt about it. And then everyone shares, oh, I love when so-and-so did this or that or the other. So it's fun.
It's a really cool way. I think I would definitely use it the first days of school, because then kids can see each other, but they can also like click on different people like at their leisure too. And so there's a little less pressure with it being live and things like that, because it's a recording of them. So, and I saw Rhonda in the chat had said it was hard because of the background noise. So that's on me. So that's learning. The tech team created this slide to kind of help learn how to use Flipgrid in a Zoom meeting. And I thought I had studied it pretty good, but no, probably I need to study it a little bit harder. But I wanted to include it in our presentation so you had it too. If you want to mess around like with a Zoom meeting and using Flipgrid, again, I think it's a thing that I would suggest trying with a group of your friends, of your teacher friends, setting up a Zoom and kind of messing around with it. But let me show you a couple of these resources really quick. So
today I'm going to show you how you can do a Flipgrid.
This is one of our teachers in our district, and she does a 1-minute tutorial on how to use a Flipgrid in a Zoom meeting. So I will need to watch this again because I think I set some things up wrong for you. But they also kind of said what needs to happen before you try the Flipgrid, before you send kids off. And so they made this slide that has some tips for teachers, and then what students need to be able to do. So when you're thinking about, if you think about using a Flipgrid, I would look at this list here and see, before you do a Flipgrid, what has to come first in your teaching or in their, like a little mini tech lessons for them to get them to be able to be ready to use a Flipgrid. So I thought this slide could be really helpful for that. Okay, so we kind of had some time on the website. I'm gonna stop right here with my talking and see if, is there anyone that has any questions? We can just kind of use the next 10 minutes or so to kind of ask questions, or you can put it in the chat or unmic yourself, and between Kim and I, hopefully we can kind of help you or show you something that we didn't, that you wanted to see again or something. Okay, Cheryl.
I was taking it wasn't the intro virtual class, it was the next level. And they were explaining that some on Zoom, how it's hard to like teach kind of live and with like an Elmo or a document camera, and they had suggested using a mobile device like your iPad or a cell phone, and your Chromebook or your computer. Is that true? Like the document cameras and the Elmos will be hard to do while we're Zooming? Is that? was my understanding. Is that true? That most likely we'll have to have maybe 2 devices to show a screen. That way you can see all their faces on one of your devices, and then they can see the screen of what you're doing on another device. That's what they were telling us. I don't know.
Kim, do you want to, I don't know tech questions like that, but I don't, Kim, do you know about that one?
Yeah, so yeah, number one, you can use 2 devices. You have to make sure that one of your devices is completely muted though, because it'll cause this horrendous echo. It's horrible. I've been there, done that. Number 2, you can, once you learn how, you can navigate between your 2 cameras. So I have done some lessons using my dock cam, and then I switched from my dock cam back into my webcam. So you can, once you learn how to navigate that, it's just kind of like in the video, and it kind of tells you video settings, and it tells you to choose your camera. All your cameras will be listed on there, whichever ones are plugged in. So you can do it that way too. But like I said, you just have to get the hang of like navigating between the 2 different cameras.
Yeah, I was just curious because a lot of the teachers were like, well, I want to be able to see all my students' faces, but then I also want to, you know, show something on that I'm doing on my screen. And they were saying that to avoid, like when you're doing the where they see your screen on one device, sometimes you can't see all the people, so that you would have a second device so that way you could see all your students. You know, in a more it's more limited when you're on one device is why they were suggesting that.
Yeah, totally. You're correct, because when you're sharing your screen, the participants goes down to minimum, and you can only see like so many at a time. So totally, I've done that where I've used my iPad. I had it on the side. I had it logged in as, you know, my iPad, and then I just watched the kids from there, and I shared my screen.
And I didn't know can you show us? I didn't know that on the Zoom they have like a little whiteboard feature, so you can like write on it with your finger and stylus. Where would I find that when I'm Zooming?
It's called Jamboard.
Mm-hmm.
And Jamboard is an extension that is on my list of things to figure out.
Okay.
But it is possible. There are also on the EdTech website, there are tutorials for using Jamboard. I wish I could be more.
Is it part of Zoom, or do I have to add it?
It's part of Google.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then if you go on there, like once you get Jamboard onto your extensions, and the extensions are also in the tech part of our, the DFP website. They have all the extensions on there. I just went through and added them all, and then I play with them as I go. Everyone who's used those extensions in our district has linked their activities on there. You don't have to even create new activities. You could just use theirs that they have done already, and which I thought was like really awesome, because I was like, oh my gosh, I can take attendance using Jamboard. I just have to add their names. So that's.
And then they had it was with Claire Danes and Alex something. They were cool on the tech thing.
I have a website for that Dane sent me that it shows you how to do Zoom.
Yeah. Okay.
From
Here,
that.
you know what? I'll show you. He's probably, recommended the DFP website, because all of those resources are here. Like when Kim was talking about EdTech guides and tutorials, like this, if you click on this, it'll show like Jamboard, Screencastify, Google Classroom. And then also there's See this Zoom? All these tutorials about using Zoom and all the things that our expanded license is going to let us do. So these are probably some of the resources like Chris Daines was talking about.
Yeah.
Also, just in case you're curious too, there's this kind of brown colored circle. Any presentation you're going to be able to find it here from this summer. So if you want to go back into like the one that Cheryl was talking about, the recording should be expanding. So the recordings will be here. This is Chris and this is Alex. So their presentation and the recording is here. Like math, but the TK Math will be posted above this kindergarten one when we're done here. TK ELA is here. So all those will be there for you to look up.
And he also had, I didn't know this, I'm still learning. It was Go Guardian, he had said, and it's a great way for you to see like what the students are doing, and like you can see where they were at on their little Chromebook, like what activities and how they logged in. Is that something
yes
we can use for the TK?
Go Guardian is an automatic that's on all of our computers and the computers of our students, our Chromebooks.
Okay.
I think that is something also that I just learned about last week. I mean, I've always seen the Go Guardian,
Me too.
you know, icon, but I never knew what it did. It's this one right here, Go Guardian. And basically, if you click here, it's going to tell you all about Go Guardian, how to use Go Guardian. And then there's even a tutorial here that's already created for you. So anything that you want to learn is probably been created and is on this DFP website. So you don't have to, you know, Google random stuff. You can go and find something really specific you're looking for.
I just like the feature that you could go and click on a student and see it like, oh, they didn't really log in today, or they didn't really use. That's what I like the feature for.
Yes.
Yeah, holding them accountable.
I'm going to go in the chat really quick. There's a few questions that I just wanted to answer. Let me see.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You're welcome, Cheryl. Laura Walker asked about ELD lessons. Well, in the past, Laura, like for TK, we had, you guys help me out. What was that? Language for learning. This is a pencil. Point to the pencil. This is the tip of the pencil. This is the eraser. So that was kind of a resource that we had, but I know that the EL department had kind of worked on, like we talked about, just really in TK language, like deliberate language practice. So I'm sure we'll be learning more about what this might entail for us, like virtually learning. And then Chandra said, will we be on a Zoom every day from 8 to 12 during regular classroom hours, or TK is going to be on Zoom for 4 hours? Something that was like mentioned to me that kind of made a lot of sense. I don't think there's any expectation for a young child to be on a device for hours in a row straight. I think what the intention is we might have like a lesson, like you might have your morning meeting, you might do songs and maybe a stretch or a cool down. And then just like in your classroom, at the end of that lesson, you're gonna send kids out you might have a small group, and then kids will be working independently. So in that way, you know, when I think about it in structuring my day that way, in my mind, I'm thinking whole group, small group, small group, whole group, small group, small group, whole group, small group, and kids are doing things in between independently. I think the more conversations we have about it, like, you know, maybe we could like build something that's kind of like an example so people can kind of see and get a feel for how it is. But in my mind, that kind of helps me think about, it's like being in the classroom. Kids are not listening to me for hours at a time in the classroom. They're listening to me for 15 minutes max, and that's with activity, really 5 minutes max of teacher talk. So I think in that way, we kind of have to think about it in that way. I hope I'm not skipping any of these. My little thing keeps jumping around, but let's see. Oh, are there tutorials on the DFP to insert Flipgrid into lessons? Yes, there are. There is a tutorial on how to use Flipgrid. Let's see. Some people were having some problems with video. It would be so helpful to have in-person help. I know, I agree. It's tough to learn virtually. Let me see. Oh, Angie said, how do we get supplies to students? I know that that's still being negotiated, like our return and all that. If you watch the town hall, there were some ideas presented in it by Mark about how kids will get supplies. So we don't really know how that's going to work yet, but I'm hoping we will by the end of the week. Oh, and then Janet was asking if TK teachers are going to continue to meet monthly, because if you're new to TK, we always have monthly collaboration meetings. I am hoping so. We just returned to work physically in the building last Thursday. We haven't even had time to meet like as a department to hear what our jobs are going to be really. So hopefully we will, and when I find out, I'll let you know. And then Tim said there's a tools website where we can get ideas to use with our kids, like bears in a boat. I'm not sure, but I bet someone would know. And then Tim, I don't know about the logistics of picking up like a 3-hour break. I haven't, like in the town hall meeting, the schedule that he showed up there in the town hall for teachers, I didn't see that in that example, but I don't know. Yeah, I think Kim says it's a 90-minute break. Okay. Oh my gosh, you guys. I thought I wasn't going to fill the time, but look, it's 4:55. I'm sorry, Kim. Oh, and then Tim wants to know if the district will be supplying crying towels each day. I know, man. I know. I need therapy, I think. Anyway, or am I? Okay, so Kim is going to drop some links in the chat. So we need your evaluation and we need your attendance. And if anybody needs anything, once you're finished with those two things, you are free to go. Thank you so much for spending these 2 hours with us. If you would like to stay on a little bit later, Kim, did I ask you if you're available to stay on? I don't remember.
Oh yeah, I'm always available.
Okay, so if you would like to stay on, if we could walk you through anything or answer any additional questions, you're welcome to stay on and unmute yourself and we can see if we can help. Thank you guys and have a great evening. And if you have trouble doing the either the evaluation or the sign out, just email me and let me know and I can make sure to send you the link. Take care.
Thank you guys. You are so awesome. I love all the questions and the interaction and sharing ideas. So nice. Makes the time go faster.
Jennifer, I have a question. You can answer me, but I did the ELA workshop with you guys, and then I lost my internet connection about the last 20 minutes or so of the broadcast. I did email you that.
Did I forget to email you back?
No.
Oh.
But I didn't get the evaluation and the sign out thing because I missed the last 20 minutes. And when I got my internet back again, it was like 5:30. I sent you an email that I had missed it. So I don't know if I'll be able to get credit for that because I was on there for like the hour and 45, but or not. I don't know who to ask about that or how that's going to work.
I'll talk to Esmer. I'm sorry. I do remember I did get your email and then I probably forgot to respond to it. I'm so sorry. Let me talk to Esmer and I'll email you and let you know what we can do.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Excuse me?
Is this Mercedes?
Yes, this is Mercedes.
Hi.
Which evaluation and the sign out connection? Because I have a Chromebook, so I have to exit the meeting.
Oh, let me see. You know what, Mercedes, do you want me to just email it to you?
Yes, that will be fine.
Okay. What's your last name, Mercedes?
Cabrera. Cabrera.
Okay. I can do that right now. If anyone else.
Yeah, because usually it's easier to get the evaluation or the sign out, but it has too many letters and I cannot.
Right.
Copy.
Yeah.
See if I could put the shortened link in there too.
Let's see.
Thank
Sherry Carter. I'll email it to you, Laura, and Lori. And Lupe, I'll get it to you too. And Angie. Probably, I gave Kim all the links, so I probably did it weird. Okay, Sindra. Because there's not usually that many people that have a hard time, so it's probably the way that I linked it.
And Jennifer?
Uh-huh.
Was there only one link that we had to fill out, or was there two?
There's an evaluation link, and then there's the attendance link. So Kim just put go.bcsd.com/DQF. And if you cut and copy and paste it, that should take you to the attendance, right, Kim?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then there's another one that is very similar. It's go.bcsd.com/DQF. And that is the evaluation.
It's the same DQF.
There's a DQF and a DQS, unfortunately very similar.
DQF and DQS,
like as in Sam.
All right.
Okay, you guys, there's actually a lot of people saying that they need an email. Yeah, Laura, you haven't gotten one yet because I haven't gotten a chance. Aurelia needs one. So if I miss someone, I hope you pursue me because I may have missed someone's name here in the chat.
Okay, I didn't get the link with the attendance. I see Kim's in the chat with the evaluation, but it doesn't have a link for the attendance. I heard that you said DQS and F, but there's only one link in there.
He just put it again. He's repeating them over and over because they'll get lost in the chat.
Okay, I got it. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay.
Jennifer?
Uh-huh.
I just wanted to apologize for missing the last TLT meeting. I do apologize.
Oh, no, it's okay. Yeah, don't worry. Okay,
We had some sickness going on over here.
Oh no.
Food poisoning. It wasn't the COVID.
Jennifer?
Yes.
I was wondering, those two sites, one was called Didax, I don't know if it's all capitals or lowercase.com. It had some pretty cool stuff. And then the district site was My Math, but if I go in, I only get TK or I only get K stuff, and it's not as good. My daughter gets third grade stuff, and she gets some really cool stuff that we would really like. I was wondering if the district could make it so that teachers could choose the grade level they want to use and steal what would work best for their kids from that site. So My Math and Didax.com.
My Math is probably, it's a license for teachers who have it. And because we're TK teachers, we actually don't have that curriculum.
When I put up in it, it comes up for kindergarten for me.
Yes, for kindergarten. Oh, for you? Because
yes. My daughter showed it to me today. I went in and I put my credentials in and it comes up with the kindergarten site. But does that mean we can only use the kindergarten site? Because she had some things on third grade that were better for TK than are for third grade.
Probably. I'm surprised you have access at all, because it would be like a license for our TK, for our kinder teachers, and because we're TK, we don't technically have it, for ourselves.
Right.
So.
Okay. And that Didax.com had some very interesting things on it. Have you ever heard of that, Kimberly?
No, I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it had some cool things. Very much. It's Didax.com, but I don't know if it's capitals or lowercase.
Okay.
But it'll probably come up if you put it in. I was playing with that today because I didn't realize I had this meeting. I was like, oh, but and then all of a sudden I checked my email. Whoa! So, but I'm glad I'm here because you guys always give such good information. I think you two should be in charge the whole time for everybody. You really do a good job. But anyways, I just, I just am trying to get more sites and more things so I can get kids to
Today is the 29th, right?
Yeah. So I was playing with both of those today. That was kind of interesting.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I spent about an hour on each. Although the third grade site had bears in a boat. It's got a 10 frame in a boat, and you can move bears, and you can say, like you could say to the kindergartners, I'm going to send you this. And then you go ahead and put 2 bears in the boat.
That sounds so cute. It sounds kind of like
yellow bears, and then they can change it to 3 red bears, or you can just put them in the boat and then say, how many red bears do you see? How many yellow bears do you see? How many bears do you see altogether? So, and you can just leave it for them to count. That's right. You had 2 yellow bears. You had 3 red bears. So I thought that was kind of cool.
That is cool.
If I find out more about it, I'll send it to you.
Okay. You guys can't still see my screen, can you?
I can see your face.
You can see my face? Okay. I am trying to go back and find the links to email it. I have my email up for the people who need it. So.
And we could make a copy of the one that you sent us?
Yes, you can make a copy of the.
And where would we find that now? Is there, did you give us a link for that?
Yes. Hang on just a second. I'm sorry, Tim, I'm multitasking.
No, that's okay. Wow. And I don't stop talking, so it makes it really hard.
You know what? I wish I would have. I didn't do this in the math one. I did it in the ELA one. I wish I would have done it now. There was a final slide that I had with lots of different links on it, but I forgot to make one for math. Remember that one, Kim? Okay, because the presentation is Kim, can you drop it in the chat for Tim?
Yes.
Okay. And then let's
You know what I'm going to be doing the next few weeks?
No.
That's okay. I put 80 feet of fencing in.
Yourself?
Yeah, for me and my daughter. And I painted my son's bedroom. I finished my kitchen. I redid all the water lines throughout the outside of the house, and a bunch of other stuff. Painted,
Wow.
painted all the fences, created new fences, and made a bridge to nowhere in my backyard for the gnomes.
Yeah, Kim, you can use Starfall. You can use the Starfall and like the Smarty Ants and the other little things for your asynchronous learning time.
I have a question. Can you show us again how to add your voice to a slide?
Oh, sure. So
if there's an app I need on my phone or something?
Yes. On your phone, you need to download an app. I used the one I downloaded. So you go to your app store, and I used the Easy Voice Recorder.
Okay, Easy Voice Recorder.
Mm-hmm. And so when it comes up,
does it have a little blue microphone?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna install it right now.
Okay. So once you get it on there, you're gonna name your recordings first of all, so you don't, because you're gonna save them. And if you don't name them, you're gonna not know. You're gonna be like, oh my God, what did I record this for? What slide was it? I just put like math lesson slide 1 or reading lesson slide 2 or whatever, you know, real generic, or I'll like use, you know, acronyms or something, just so, because they, you know, it's a little area right there.
Okay.
So once you get the app, it'll have like a little recording button.
Uh-huh.
And so you record yourself. And then, let's see, I'll go through the steps, and then you stop it and you check it and make sure, okay, yeah, I like that recording. Then it'll pop up, it'll say you're recording, and you're gonna, see, I'm listening to my recordings. Those 3 blue dots on the side, and you can save it. You want to save it to your Google Drive.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So when you get it into your Google Drive, you're going to create a folder of your recordings and label it that. That way you know these are my recordings.
Okay.
So it'll pop up, it'll say document title, and you'll say like math recording slide 1. It'll show you your account. Mine says dominguezk@bcsc.com, and then my folder, TK Virtual Lessons. And then you just click save, and it'll be on there. And then once you get into your slide, I know this is so much.
No.
I think I'm following you.
Okay. So once you get into your slide that you want to add that voiceover on, you're going to go, sometimes I have to walk myself through the steps again.
Would it be like a link?
Yeah, you kind of link it on there. You go to your slide.
When you say slide, are you using Google Slides?
Yes, everything is Google. Yeah. And then you click insert and you click audio. And so it's across the top, it'll always say my drive. And so in there, you'll have all your recordings, because it'll only show your recordings. It won't show any other files, just recordings. And you're going to click on the recording you want. That's why you want to name it. So if it's math slide 1, you know, oh, okay, that's the slide I need for math slide 1. And you'll click it and you'll put it in there. Now,
okay, can you add a recording straight to the slide? Like I know, because you can insert a video things like that. Can you insert your recording just straight from the slide without this app on my phone?
You need to get it, you have to record it.
Oh.
Yeah, unless you have a recording from somebody else that you've saved in your drive or that you have in your shared drives.
Okay, that makes sense.
Do you think this might work on Smart Notebook too? Put it into a Smart Notebook piece?
I have no idea.
I'm gonna have to, I'll try.
You'll have to try. Yeah, because let me see, insert audio, it's always in the drives. Even if it's a shared drive or shared with me drive or a recent drive, it's always going to be in your Google Drives that you have.
So you just double click and it'll go in.
Yeah.
I may be moving all my stuff over to Google Drive.
Yeah. And
what I may have to do.
I liked to, when you pop in you insert your voiceover onto your slide, it has a control panel that'll pop up on the side on how you want to control your voiceover. I like my voiceovers to come on automatically. So there's a feature that you can have it come on automatically. Because at first the kids aren't going to be so used to clicking on all these buttons. So I want them to hear me automatically.
So as soon as the slide comes up, it goes on.
Yeah, and you just have to click and make sure, like when you put your voiceover into it, when you insert it, make sure you look on the side there for the features that you can add to it, and which is basically automatic, and that's what it says, automatic voiceover, basically.
What did you use to get your picture to when you're talking inserted into things?
That's Screencastify, right, Kim?
That's Screencastify?
Yeah, when I was recording myself talking.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was Screencastify.
That's a tutorial that's already on there. So I can go to there. Okay.
Yeah. And right now, I know you can look at some of my videos and you see I had like videos that were 10 minutes long and such. Right now it's limited to 5. I had like a free offer because of COVID. They kind of like gave the teachers a free offer, and now they're not offering it anymore, I guess, because it knocked me out. So we've got 5 minutes to record a story or whatever you want to record.
5 minutes.
Yeah. And
there's also like, oh, I'm sorry, Kim.
I was going to say there's Loom too.
Yes, there's like Loom. I know 2 years ago, like I used something called WeVideo to edit a video for a PD training. I heard someone mention upstairs yesterday that we're looking at that being a possibility. So like there's other platforms you can use.
I had a question. You said we're each going to get a Zoom account. That means through the district. That'll be different than what, like if I was to do Zoom right now, then so
yeah,
it's more protected.
It's protected, but also Zoom limits the time frame that you have to use on your meeting times. With this account, we have more time. Like we're able to do this 2-hour meeting, whereas if I meet with my friends on my private Zoom, I have like 45 minutes.
Okay.
And it's got like more features, and it's kind of weird how it'll come to you, but like the way it came to me was Doc would like to invite you to his Zoom account, and I was like, okay. But I don't know why it appears that way, but that's how it may come to you, and accept it.
Sounds like you're going to a birthday party.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Woohoo! But make
I have a question.
When you're Zooming with your district Zoom, to only use your district work, because they could probably, I don't know, but they might be able to access it through other forms. So have your private Zoom account, and then you can have your district Zoom account.
And be logged into.
Yeah.
Since I don't use the other one, it'll be easy.
Yeah, me too. Same. I use a different app on my phone for my friends.
So we'll know the difference when we get the district one. We'll know the difference between the one we're using now and the district one.
It'll link to your Zoom, to your Google account from the district.
Oh,
yeah.
Because right now I just go to Zoom and set up my own. So it's gonna be totally different than that, right?
No, actually, well, I had like a, you know, a free educator Zoom account that,
That's what I have.
yeah. So we were in the middle of like planning for this training when they said, oh, you know, we had to make all of our Google links for or our Zoom links for these meetings. And I said, oh my gosh, I just made all my Zoom links. When I get this new, do I have to do it all over again? They said, no, it merges with what you currently have.
Ooh, that'll be
So,
nice
like,
for you.
I still see all my old meeting links and everything. Like everything's, it's all there. So I was glad.
Okay, what I'm really stressing about is, okay, I'm okay with doing the Zoom meetings and everything, but then how do I, with the TK, how do I like let them go and know they're going to come back? Like come back and like I'll let them do their small group, go back to me. Like how do I know? Like do I set a, like I tell them come back in 10 minutes, or do I like they're there with me the whole time, but I just don't see them? Like I need training on like the whole mechanics of how this looks.
I do too. Like I set up an appointment with I don't know if you know Alicia Areola, but we talked for a long time about like how this could look. And anyway, I think part of it is going to be trial and error, like figuring out what works and like giving yourself grace to like be okay with it.
Okay.
But like I did hear, you know, when I was a classroom teacher, I never used Google. I mean, I was like kind of anti-tech, honestly. But like she gave me a lot of really good ideas where I was like, oh, okay, I see how that could work. One of the ideas she had is having 2 devices up, like Kim said. And she knows way more about things, you know, than I do. Like I had just heard of Go Guardian. She said she always has one of her devices up as Go Guardian. So she can always see what her kids are doing, even if she's meeting on this other device, like in a small group with Zoom.
That's what my daughter does.
She said that like, you know, one thing like for TK or Kinder, you know, when you talk about like what the expectations are for working virtually with your students, you would want to teach them that sometimes we'll be all together and sometimes you'll be working on your own. When you're working on your own, like if the teacher has a device, has them have their device open the whole time with Zoom, she's like, you're going to aim your camera down at your workspace. That, you know, I don't know, like if that's what I would do, but I thought that was an interesting idea. It was kind of like, it was almost like the idea she was talking about is like one device is always a window of communication for the kids, and another device is like helping you monitor or having a small group meeting.
I just saw you move something down. Do I need a different camera or because like mine is pretty stiff here on my own computer at home, and so is it better to have one of those plug-in cameras that move?
Well, for your kids, like if you did do that, like if you experimented around with that idea of having 2 devices open and one, like, you know, where you train the kids to aim at their work, they have Chromebooks. So
you're using a Chromebook right now.
Yeah, I have a laptop right now. So
and they link together to show the same screen?
Wait, what do you mean?
Well, like you took your Chromebook and turned it so that you can see, and you're showing the same screen?
No, I just started to close my laptop to just give you an example. If I were a student, I could aim it here, or if one of my assignments for TK was to build something with trash, you know, like with recycled goods.
Yeah, you can turn it. I guess the question I had was, I have one of these big screens that, you know, you can't turn it, lift it.
No,
so
you're good.
Is it better to use a Chromebook then?
I don't know that it's better to use a Chromebook. I know Kim has a fixed setup in her house, like where she works from, I think as the teacher, because it's okay for you to have like a fixed setup.
Yes.
the kids are going to have a Chrome. So like to think about that idea that Janet's talking about, like, what do I do? Like, do I have a Zoom open all the time?
Okay, I got it now. You just warped. My brain went crazy. And I was like,
like I understand the why and what I'm supposed to do. I just don't understand how to do it. And I want to show you. I got this thing.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I guess this can go around my neck somehow, like it bends, so I can have it like sturdy on my desk with my phone. And I have all that. I put it evergreen, and the evergreen kindergarten teachers are all getting these, so that I don't want to be left out. So I got one too, and I guess I can like move it so I can like have it around my neck somehow. But that's what they were talking about. Like put it like around my neck, and then I have my phone this way. But see, I just don't understand the mechanics. Like, okay, so if I'm here looking there, then I'm supposed to look here, like and do stuff. I don't know what I'm doing. And then another teacher got like a Chromebook stand, like a music stand, but it's for a Chromebook, and she thought she would just face that towards her smartboard and then be teaching under a smartboard some of the time when she's not on Zoom. And I'm not techie, so I'm just trying to understand it all.
I think a good part of the start of the year is going to be figuring it out. Like, figuring out, I mean, taking the opportunity to practice, things that we can. Like if I had to teach this year, in my mind, this is what I'm thinking. I'm going to keep it really simple at first, and I'm going to keep it nice and simple by having whole group Zooms, make them active, make them fun, drop in some flip grids, like kind of teach them things that I want them to kind of understand how to use throughout the year. And then in between those times, give them some things to do in their Google Classroom, like so they can like go, oh, I click here and I do this. And then I click here and I do this, kind of like a must do, may do type of thing. And then I'm gonna everyone come back together. And so the question that you asked kind of originally was, how do I get kids to come back together? I think for us as teachers of early learners, it's going to be contact with families, which is going to be like pretty, could be intense at the beginning. And then also, I think like having a timer, or like always having your Zoom up so that there's kind of like this open line of communication, and saying, putting a timer up and just saying into the computer, in 15 minutes, everyone meet in front of your computer, and then have that second whole group time, and then do some fun active things, and then go back. I don't know, that's how I'm kind of wrapping my mind around it. Someone else would probably have really wonderful advice. And
I just want to put that out there. If you have any trainings like that, I want to be involved.
I feel like, I know, I was trying to like kind of write down like, what would my schedule be? Like, how would I do this? What would be synchronous? What would be asynchronous? And like, how could I utilize like a Bitmoji library or something like that? Like,
yeah, I'm good with Bitmoji and I'm good with Google Classroom. Coming from second grade, we did that quite a bit. So I feel, feel good. I feel good with Google Classroom, but I was saying like this, I want to be good with the kids. I don't want to be crazy. I think I'm going to be a little crazy. So
I know, and I really think it's going to be like kind of, trying things out and going, that didn't work, and then really communicating with families, like what is working for you, what is not working, I mean, there's a certain set of there's certain things that we have to do, or, ensure, guarantee time and whatever. But I think that that's like going to be a good chunk of it, is that communicating, like, is this working?
I guess just with our grade levels, and like me working with the kindergarten team and figuring stuff out, working together a lot. And like you said, have a buddy. So
yes.
That's why I was wondering if we're going to have more TK meetings. I know you guys met, years before, and I'm new, so I thought I'm going to get a lot out of meeting with other TK teachers that have been doing this for a while. That's why I was wondering if you're going to have more.
Yeah, I feel like I mean, I was going to pitch, doing definitely monthly meetings again, but like I would also, oh, bye Tim. But I also think like if we pick like one thing, like, you know, Tim had talked about like, can you use like how do you, like maybe different methods, like you're saying, like maybe that would be a Google, I mean, that would be a great collaboration to have, like, what are some ways that have worked engagement wise, like the thing around the neck, you know, like using a dot camera, Screencastify, or is there another, or Loom, like Kim mentioned, maybe that's another, you know, like, I think it's, I could see like our collaboratives being all centered around like what is working and like just learning how to do different things.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So then as a TK teacher, do I go to the kindergarten meetings? I go to all the, like I'm involved with the kindergarten team then?
Well, oh, go ahead.
It depends on your principal, because like my principal, he didn't want the TK teachers to collaborate with the kindergarten teachers. He wanted them to collaborate with pre-K. And then there's other sites where they don't mind if you collaborate with the kindergarten team. It depends on your principal. So you kind of want to find out, you know.
Okay, yeah.
And then some TK teachers have also even, and this goes way back, like I think they've been doing it for a while, they even like kind of self-organize themselves into little mini PLC clusters, and they like, you know, that like a couple groups were meeting on Zoom over the summer, you know, to kind of, so it could also, you know, it could also be that. But yeah, like Kim's right, like I think it kind of depends, and Evergreen has a pre-K. So I think like with TK, we've spent a lot of time over the last few years, like really relearning what TK should be and the intention put out by the state. And it is more about readiness than it is about kinder standards.
Right.
So, and some, you know, and that's also something that like our principals are learning, our district admin is learning, you know, so some people didn't even know that there weren't TK standard, you know, Common Core standards. So like it's a early ed is a little bit of a different pedagogy than what, you know, we're used to in a K-12 system. So it's like, it's also a learning curve for our leadership. So sometimes like our leaders will say, no, you need to be doing X, Y, and Z. That's not rigorous enough. When actually, that's not what we should be doing in TK. We should be doing more integrated, like developmentally appropriate, like kind of play-based learning and things like that. So
right.
It's, everyone's kind of been learning more about it. So.
Okay. Okay, well, I gotta go, but thank you for spending time with me, answering my questions.
Yes, you're welcome, Janet. Have a good evening.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, thank you. I'm going to be struggling out through the year, especially with the technology, because I haven't used it at all. So I might be bugging you.
You're in good company.
Right. And you got on Zoom, so there's something.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I can get on, let me tell you. I haven't done much of follow-up because I have only one device. So.
Well, you're not alone. I only have one device also. I mean, at work, you know, but if I were working from home, I also have just one device. So yeah, we will figure it out. I think it's trying to kind of figure it out.
Thank you for all your advices.
Mm-hmm.
I might be calling you guys, girls.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Bye.
Good afternoon. Bye-bye.
Bye.